Cisalo Productions.
So today I'm helping a buddy replace the lower control arms on his 2013 Chevy Impala. Y'all know my video style is to keep it short with as much visual information as possible, so let's get to it. I'll be replacing both lower control arms, so I'm using the cross section of the frame to lift the entire front end, then setting jack stands on either side. You'll need a 19mm socket to remove the lug nuts. Then turn the key to the accessory position and turn the steering wheel to gain better access to your fasteners. So I'm going to start with this ball joint, but we first have to remove the cotter pin. You'll need an 18mm wrench to loosen the nut from the ball stud. Now you won't be able to remove the nut completely because the axle is in the way, so I'm hitting what the ball stud goes through to free it from the knuckle, and we'll come back to this later. I'm using this panel trim tool to remove the ABS harness anchor points attaching it to the lower control arm. The bushing on the back of the arm has a nut and bolt combo. I'm using an 18mm socket with an 8-inch extension for the bolt and a 21mm wrench to hold the nut. The sway bar end link attaches the control arm to the sway bar, so it has to be removed. I'm using a 13mm wrench to hold the nut still, and down bottom, I'll be using a 13mm socket for removal. And now the last fastener holding the control arm in place is the front bushing bolt. You'll need a T55 torque socket to remove the bolt and a 21mm wrench to hold the nut. Push down on the ball joint to finish removing the nut from the ball stud. Then pry the control arm from the car. You want to check your parts to make sure they are correct, and at this point you might as well replace your sway bar link while it's out. Here's a look at the old ball joint. It's loose and has a lot of play compared to the new part that's solid and has no play. For reinstallation, you want to put the front bushing in first since it goes in at an angle. I'm using the floor jack to hold the bolt in place while I angle the control arm so the rest of the bolt can slide through. The floor jack works great for lining up the back bushing as well. Then use a large pry bar to push down on the control arm so you can maneuver the ball joint back into the steering knuckle. Only allow a few threads through so you have room to put the nut back on. Then we're going to jack up the control arm a little bit to simulate ride height for proper preload so the bushings don't wear prematurely. Then torque everything to spec.